All right, good afternoon, Keller ISD. Welcome to our Kickstart Your Learning today on Google Classroom integrations. We're so glad to have you here. My name is Christy Harold. I'm from Educational Technology, and I'm excited to have a full 30 minutes of learning with you this afternoon. Joining me today is Kara Lewis. Kara, before we start our content, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm currently a 7th grade English language arts teacher at Hillwood Middle School. This is my 3rd year in Keller ISD. Before this, I taught for 5 years in Fort Worth ISD, still in English language arts. And right now, not only am I pursuing my master's degree in library sciences at UNT, but I am running a fully paperless ELA classroom. So it's been an exciting year, to say the least.
That is exciting, all of it. Getting your master's, running a paperless classroom, exciting things. You've got great things to share with us today, and I'm excited you're here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Moderating our chat today, we have Keith Salas, who's one of our geniuses on the Genius team. He's a junior at Timber Creek High School. We've also got Laura Gonzalez and Sarah Smith from Educational Technology. Thank you guys so much. So you guys out there watching, ask lots of questions, make them work this afternoon. And another special person on our team today is Avery Haynes. She's also one of our Keller ISD geniuses, and she's going to be with us today showcasing a little bit of the student side of Google Classroom. And so we're excited that she's here with us. We'll see her in a second when she integrates some products with us and we pop in and ask her how it's going. All right, first thing we need to do today is make sure that you can participate. So I'm going to share some slides with you. All right, if you are joining us live, we need you to be able to see the chat window on YouTube where you're watching. If you can see a chat window like this red box on my screen, then you are good to go for today. If you don't see a chat window to the right of the video screen, you need to perform a couple of simple steps to make that happen. So let's walk through those. So if your chat window says that you need to create a channel, you're going to click your avatar in the top right-hand corner on your YouTube window. Then you're going to click your channel in that menu, and then you're going to click Create Channel. Once you do all those steps, you'll have to actually type in the URL to get to the YouTube Live again. So let's go through those steps one more time if you're trying to make that happen so that you can watch with us live today and participate in the chat window, which we want you to do. Click your avatar or your circle profile in the top right-hand corner on your YouTube page. Click your channel from the menu that drops down, and then click Create Channel. And once again, when you do all those things, you will actually have to put in that URL again. So www.kellerisd.net/KICStart, KICStart. And then you should have enabled your chat window to participate with us today. So while those of you who need to are getting that done, a couple of things about participating in a YouTube Live. If you're participating today for EQ credit, we're so glad you're here. And there's a couple of things we'd like you to do. If you'll watch the entire live event, we'll get interaction with you, and hopefully you'll get lots of learning from us. If you'll introduce yourself in the chat window starting right now, just tell us who you are and what grade and campus you're at, and it helps us kind of interact with you as well. If you'll make at least one comment or ask a question during the event, that'll be super great for us. Hopefully you'll learn something that way too. And at the end of our event, we'll provide you a link to a Google form that you'll fill out for EQ credit. And we'll get that credit in. Usually we're good about getting it in within about 48 hours after the event. So if you'll be a little patient with us, we'll try to get that posted as soon as we can. One other thing I wanted to mention today, I had several questions on email today about past YouTube Lives or where to see this YouTube Live if you weren't able to join us right now. So our past YouTube Lives are stored at our KISD Educational Technology channel on YouTube, and it looks like the one that you see in the screen. So if there's something you're looking for that we've done in the past, it should be there in the videos section. Today, our Google Classroom is going to be just kind of a step up from beginner Google Classroom. So if you're a new Google Classroom user and you kind of want that beginning learning, there is a YouTube Live from January last year that's actually on that channel that you can watch. So we're excited you guys are here, and let's start talking about Google Classroom. Google Classroom is what we call a content management system. So it's a system that manages digital content for students and teachers, assignments, grading, and feedback. That's one of its best features, is allowing you to give great feedback to your students. Kara's, like she said, has a paperless classroom. So Kara, share with us a little about how you're using Google Classroom.
So my Google Classroom integration is a little unique in that I'm still using Canvas, because by the time these students have gotten to me, they are familiar with the Canvas platform, and already throwing middle school at them is a lot, and now a 97-minute class. So I'm actually going to show you how I've used the two together. So what you're going to be seeing on your screen is my screen on Canvas itself. So every day when they come in, they log into Canvas and they see a to-do list. So you can see the date, the DQ, and then on the agenda, it will tell them where things will be located. So for this day, they're going to have their story and scene through Google Classroom, and that was a Google Doc that I had make a copy for every student. That way I could see what was going on there. So when you go to my Google Classroom, it looks really chaotic, because in addition to having my classes, something really unique that Hillwood has done this year are these book clubs. And so these are book clubs that have students from all of our different classes. Oops, sorry, my light's timed out in here, so I'm going to be a little dark when I come back on screen. But what you see through these students are actually students across all 8 of the core content teachers' classes. So when you actually look at my class and the way the classwork is set up, it's in these very nicely organized 9-week sections, because the difference with Classroom versus Canvas, on Canvas, as you know, you can unpublish assignments, and you can't do that with Classroom. So if I were to delete this in order for it to be something the students don't see, I would actually lose all of the data that I'd put into it, and I don't want that to happen. Another really cool feature with Google Classroom that not a lot of people are aware of is your ability to push things out to your student calendars. So this is an example of how you can do that. You can see over here, these are all of the Google calendars that I moderate, and here are my Google Classroom classes. And so by doing this, I can say, oh, I need it to be for this 7th period class. I can add the description. So if it's a test or something going on in my class and it's not an assignment published on Classroom, they can still see it. And that's a really cool feature that unfortunately not a lot of people are aware of.
I love that. I love how you're using the calendar feature just to keep your kids organized and on schedule.
Yeah.
What a great way to use them. So thank you so much for being willing to share today. Kara's going to pop in and out of what we're talking about and just give us her tips, because she's at the ground level using this every day with her kids. All right. So Kara, if you'll stop sharing your screen whenever you get a second, and then we'll go back to the slides on my screen. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so if you're using Google Classroom a little bit already, what we want to share with you today are these great classroom integrations. And we got to hear a presentation like this last year sometime, and I was so amazed by it. I just wanted to replicate it and bring it back to Keller. So all of the products that you see on this screen integrate with Google Classroom in some way. And then there's even more, and we're going to talk about how you find out what more is at the end. Sorry about that. All right, so with Google Classroom, you can integrate in 3 different ways. The first way is you can share content to your Google Classroom, like maybe you're sharing a video or a game or a lesson or some flashcards. You're just simply sharing content with them. The second way you can integrate is actually integrate the roster that you have in Google Classroom, assignments, and maybe if If it's a great application, the grade will pass back to Google Classroom for you, and that's simply amazing. And then the third way you can integrate is pulling your class roster into an application that you like. So maybe you love this application, but every year you have to create a class and enter all your students. And even if it's a CSV upload, that's not too hard, but one way you can do it with one button is a Google Classroom integration. And if you're using it anyway, it's a great way to do that. Here's the cheat sheet for all of our learning today. Here's all you really need to know. You could quit after this. You're looking for in your application a button that looks like Google Classroom, or one of the share icons, or the actual word share. That's all you're looking for. That's all you need to make these integrations happen. All right, so the first type of integration we discussed was the sharing of content. And so we're going to show an example of that. I know lots of teachers love Quizlet and make flashcards for their students, or have their students make flashcards for themselves, even better. But once you utilize Quizlet as a teacher, you have a teacher account, and maybe you create some flashcards, or you search for the content that's already on Quizlet, which is what I do. It's a great way to use it as well. And you pick something that's applicable to your students. Maybe I'm going to quiz my students over this Google vocabulary. I set up these flashcards, I choose them, and then I'm looking for, remember, that share button. And here it is right here. When I click it, I've got lots of options, but one of them is the magic share to Google Classroom button. So I'm going to click share on Google Classroom, and I start to get almost this classroom-like window. It's going to ask me to choose what class I want to share to. We've got a test class set up today for our test student, Avery. And then these are flashcards. And so if you're familiar with Google Classroom, you understand what all these things are. But in Google Classroom, a material is an item that doesn't really have a due date or a grade. So I'm going to choose a material because I just want these to be available for my students to study. And then I'm going to click go. And I'm going to give these a title. And we're going to skip description today. And there's my link to them through Quizlet. And then I have all my Google Classroom options that I normally have. I could draft it or schedule it. I'm going to post it right now. And then I actually have a button where I could go onto Classroom and see what it looks like as the teacher. But what I want to do right now instead, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to unmute myself, and I'm going to let Avery or Erin, whoever is our student today, look in the Google Classroom class that we're using. And I'm going to let them show us what they see.
Hi. Oh, just kidding. Hi.
Screen.
Can you hear me?
Screen.
Sure.
How to go screen.
Oh.
And then share it.
Hi. Can you see me? All right. Why can't I?
So click on the
Oh.
materials practice for whatever reason.
This one? Yeah. Alrighty. So first off, we're gonna go into Quizlet. Yep. Classwork. And
Avery, those flashcards ended up at the very top. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
no
We'll
worries.
talk about that as you go through.
Oh, just kidding. I found them.
There you go. Perfect.
And there we are.
There you go. With a click of the button, Avery was able to access those flashcards just by me sharing them to Google Classroom. So let us know what you think of that in the chat if you have a second. Avery, I'm going to have you stop sharing your screen. I need to go back and show them one more thing from the teacher side. Thanks.
And I'm going to add something really quickly here, Christy.
Please do, Kara.
So if you were not familiar with Google Classroom, if you're just starting to use it, if you don't have those topics set up like Christy set up on the screen for Avery, it will always push your assignment that's most recent to the very top. So when you go in and assign things in Classroom itself, it will allow you to put it under topics. But when you push in from outside sites, the way that we did with that Quizlet deck, it's always going to go to the top, and then you just drag and drop it under which topic you want it to go under.
Perfect. Thank you, Kara. So that's exactly what I was about to do. I've got a few topics from when I've taught this class before. So the topic for today is this Kickstart Your Learning. And so like Kara said, I'm going to drag and drop that in the topic I want it to because it didn't land exactly where I wanted it to from the outside application. All right, let's talk about another one. I know that you as teachers love Kahoot. I know that even our students love Kahoot. We talked to a group of seniors this summer at a KU class, and they said Kahoot was one of their most favorite things they did technology-wise in the classroom. It seems silly, but it's awesome. So I'm in my Kahoot account. You would definitely need a teacher account before you could do this. And Kahoot's another great place where you can use content that somebody submitted, or you can create your own. So we've got a little Google Classroom for Students quiz for Kickstart Your Learning. So I'm going to access it. And Kahoot's meant to be a live game in the classroom where you're challenging your students for speed and accuracy. But another thing Kahoot can do now is you can do a challenge. And a challenge is like working on Kahoot at home for homework. So I can choose challenge instead of play my game, and I can set the time that I want this challenge to be open. Maybe I want my students to do it before Saturday at midnight. And when I click create, I get the option to share this directly to Google Classroom. And again, it's almost that same window we had with Quizlet. I've got to choose my class, and I'm going to choose my action. I'm going to make this one a material as well. I'm going to click go. Oop. Not sure exactly what I accidentally hit, but let's see. There we go. I'm going to try this again. And again, like this, Kahoot actually does give me a choice of putting it in the right topic. Some of the applications will and some won't. I'm gonna go ahead and post that. And Avery, you can be refreshing on your end. And Avery, you are looking for a Kahoot.
All right. Okay.
Avery, you're doing a super job navigating there. You might have to.
Thank you.
That Kahoot should be up at the top, Avery. I think it landed in the right
there.
topic
Right
this time. There it is.
All righty. And
super. So Avery gets a screen like this when she does that. One thing about Kahoot is it has to be played on a mobile device. So she would actually need a phone or a tablet to play this, but she's got her PIN number and she can play this as a homework game. And to save time today, we're not going to have her play that. But that's one way you could push out those Kahoots you've already made for students to practice at home for review or for a quiz or a test, anything like that. So Avery, I'm going to have you stop sharing your screen.
okay.
Thank you. And we're going to move on to some applications that actually integrate your roster, yay, and your content and also grades, because those are pretty amazing applications. So I'm in Quiz-Is, and I'm sure you've used Quiz-Is before. It's a quiz or kind of a gamification type quiz application where students are usually racing against time and to be correct on their questions and to answer their questions in a timely manner, and they get great feedback on their questions when they play them. So we've got a little Google Classroom integrations quiz. Quiz-Is is another application where you can search for content or create your own. So I have some choices here in Quiz-Is. I can play a live game, and I can actually push this out as a live game, or I can do homework, kind of like we did the Kahoot, or I can even push out the link as solo practice. Today I'm going to choose homework. And again, I'm going to host the game, and it really doesn't matter which button you push here. You can host the game, or you can actually select your class here. I'm going to click host the game so you see that Google Classroom icon. And that's what I'm looking for every time. I'm looking for that classroom icon to post to. So I have my list of classes. This Google Classroom can do what is the class I'm looking to put this in. I'm going to give it a title. And Avery, I'm just going to call this one Quiz Is. I can do some scheduling or add a description. We're not going to do that for the sake of time now. We'll let that talk to Google Classroom and get set in there.
And while we're waiting for that to get set up, an important thing to note with using quizzes, especially the homework feature, is you are able to set the number of attempts that students get. So on days where I'm first doing introduction and I want them to get that continuous practice, I'll let them have an unlimited number of attempts. But then if it's something that we've been reviewing for 2 or 3 days and I want to see, hey, how are you actually getting it in terms of mastery? I'll normally set it at 2 attempts and take the higher of the 2 scores. And it does that for me automatically. So that is something you're not worried about kids going in and playing until they get their best score. If you don't want it to be that way, if you do want to use it as even an alternative to a quiz in the classroom, there are ways that you can do that through Classroom as well.
I love those tips. Thanks, Kara. All right, Avery, we're ready for you. You can share your screen.
Alrighty.
Find that Google Classroom again.
Okay.
Did you share?
I'll do it.
Because,
Oh, just kidding. Whoops, not sure.
You're good. Take
Okay.
your time.
This one.
just share.
Okay, perfect. And
You probably have to.
Right.
Yeah, perfect.
quiz.
Go ahead and do the web link. Perfect, Avery. And we are going to have you take this because we want to show the grade pass back
Making me
with
take
it.
a quiz right now?
You are. It's a pretty easy one.
Wow.
See if Mr. Reister can help you.
Yeah,
You can start the quiz. Yep, you don't have to do anything there.
enter.
And it's the Google Classroom one.
Oh, I was waiting for this. All right.
Lots of music with Quiz Is.
Absolutely. You're teaching my students. True.
Good job. Avery, you're doing so well.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, super job, Avery. When you get a second, you can unshare your screen. Perfect, thank you. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. We're going to look at the teacher part of that. Let me just refresh for a second. Oh, there's that quiz is.
Christy?
Yes.
Hey, this is Sarah. We have a
Sarah.
question in the chat about quizzes. They're wondering, and I don't know if this is a feature or not, it might be something we need to explore, but is there an option for the teacher to make sure that the student can only attempt the quiz once?
Yes, that is something that you're able to set up under game settings. And the thing to remember with it is it will automatically default to whatever you have your limit set at presently for any future games as well. So you just need to be aware and go in and change that every time. But you can limit the number of attempts. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Kara.
Thank you. So you can see I got into that assignment while Sarah was talking, and here's Avery's quiz attempt. She made a 100 out of 100, and I didn't do anything but connect that quizzes to my Google Classroom. So that could be a game changer for the classroom, I think. Again, there's great content there. You'll need to preview it always, but there's content that you can create yourself as well. So I hope that that one was helpful. We're going to try to speed through the next one, but I think it's a really neat one, so I want to show it to you guys. It's called Ed Puzzle. It does the same thing as Quiz is. With Ed Puzzle, you're going to start in, I'm just at edpuzzle.com, and Ed Puzzle is a video technology integration feature where you can upload your own videos, or you can choose content that's already in their library, and you put stops in the video for small formative assessment checks. It's amazing. To connect your Google Classroom, you're going to start with My Classes, and you're going to add a new class. And you can see I've already got this Google Classroom connected, and there's my awesome student Avery, who's helping me out today. And once I've connected that way, so that was a little different than Quiz is. With Quiz is, we didn't have to connect rostering. But with Ed Puzzle, you do need to do that part. So I have some content already prepped for Avery. This is a quick little video on Spanish numbers. And you can see I copied a video that was already in the library, and I took some of the questions out to try to utilize our time better. So once I choose the video I want to assign, I click the word assign in Ed Puzzle. I choose the classroom I'm looking for, and then I'm going to choose assign. And I think that my little bars are in the way. Excuse me while I move that around. I've got some choices over here, but I'm going to post this on Google Classroom. And it says it's posted. So Avery, I'm going to unshare my screen. And if you will, look in your Google Classroom for that assignment.
Yes, ma'am. Right on and share. Perfect. Is this? I know you heard the music.
Perfect.
Classroom and to Ed Puzzle. Being assigned.
You're going to go ahead and sign in with Google, Avery.
All right. You want to play the song?
Yes,
Okay.
just so we
All
can
right.
see the grading feature.
Record.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's only a minute.
Uno, dos, tres.
This one. That one.
Good job.
I need to. What do I do? Submit. There we go.
You gotta check it.
Oh. All right.
Perfect.
Continue.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8.
So it's stopping her in the video where the teacher who created this has inserted a formative assessment question, and it won't let her continue on or skip video depending upon the settings that you as a teacher set until she answers the question.
4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3.
No.
4, 5, 6.
So even though she's finished all the formative assessments, I'm going to let her finish the video because that will be what connects her grade back to Google Classroom.
10, 9, 8.
So hopefully you guys are learning your Spanish numbers today.
Really quickly, something cool with this that sometimes we don't think about being teachers when we're pulled out for PD. You can actually turn any of your screencastifies into Ed Puzzles as well. So I've had a lot of times I've been pulled out for like lab site or ELM planning today, and I've been able to record my actual lesson that the kids would have gotten in class with me and put in these formative assessment checks. That way they're not missing instruction when I'm gone, and it's all just synced through my classroom so I can get all of their real-time results.
I love that tip. Thank you, Kara. All right, Avery, I'm going to have you stop sharing.
Perfect.
And I will share the Google Classroom. Go back to that assignment. When I click View Assignment and I go to my students who've completed, I still have 2 assigned. Avery's finished and Avery got a 100 on her assignment. So what an awesome way to take a little bit of work off you guys and work a little smarter, not exactly harder. We're nearing the end of our time. In fact, we're there. One integration we did not talk about was just having your roster integrate for you. That it works great with Brainpop, which is a resource we have for our kindergarten through 8th grade students already. And there are a lot of other resources that do that as well. As we close, I'm going to skip to the EQ credit slide. This is our link for EQ credit today. There we go. Sorry about that. So if you need EQ credit, you were here live for 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Use this bit.ly to get to the Google form where you tell us you were here and we give you the credit. Bit.ly links are case sensitive. So the capital KICS and then LIVE do need to be capitalized when you're typing that into a URL or a browser window. For just a second, I want to thank Kara for joining us. Kara, thank you for doing this crazy thing and joining us. We're so excited to hear about your paperless classroom. Can't wait to hear a little more about it as the year goes on. Thank you, Erin and Avery, so much for being students. Thank you, Sarah, Laura, and Keith for moderating the chat. We really appreciate you guys. Hopefully you've had a chance to get that link. It should also be in the chat. Hope you guys have a good evening and hope to see you next month at our YouTube Live. Thank you.